So my name's Adam. I'm 40 years old, although I don't look it, I'm told. I'm from Birmingham. I'm married. I have a wife, obviously, and two kids, a son who's 5 and a daughter who's 2. My family weren't aware of familial hypercholesterolaemia prior to our diagnosis. There were some indicators that, looking back, gave a sign that it was something that ran in our family. So my paternal grandfather died of a heart attack, and he'd had a number before becoming very unwell and then passing away. When I was born, I had a mark, an orange lump at the base of my spine, which later we realised was xanthoma, a sign of a fatty deposit. But at the time, even though my parents queried it with the doctor, they weren't sure what it was. They thought it was just a birthmark or some skin tag or something. Then, as I got older, when I was in primary school, maybe 5, 6, I started to develop more xanthoma on my knees. Again, asked doctors, they weren't really sure. And in addition to that, I had white arcs in my irises, in my eyes, again a sign of fatty deposit. But all of this was just really ignored because the doctors didn't seem concerned, so my family had no reason to be concerned. Then, I think when I was about 8 years old, my auntie went for a blood test. I don't know if it was just a general checkup or something specific caused her to go. And the doctors found she had elevated cholesterol, not massively, but slightly. So she recommended my dad have a test. And then through coincidence, I had one as well. I think I just accompanied him to the doctors and I had it done too. And that's when they found that my dad had quite high levels of cholesterol and I had very high levels of cholesterol. And it was only then that the GP referred us to a specialist at the Birmingham Children's Hospital, and at that stage a diagnosis was made. So we didn't know anything about familial hypercholesterolemia prior to that, and I think that's when we started to understand what it was and what the implications could be if it was left untreated. And at that point, both my dad, other members of my family and myself began various forms of treatment. When we saw the consultant and we discussed how I'd been unlucky enough to have such significantly high levels of cholesterol, it was explained that there are different forms of hypercholesterolemia. There's heterozygous, where you inherit just the genetic fault from one parent, or homozygous, where you inherit it from both. And I was just unlucky in that faulty gene was present in my mum's side of the family and my dad's. So when I was born, I got both of those faulty genes, which led to me having the homozygous variant. Physically, there wasn't too much impact, at least early on, because initial treatments were medication, were low-fat diet. There was nothing for the first few years that caused any discomfort. The diet aspect wasn't too bad. Things like Easter and Christmas weren't too nice because everyone else would be eating lovely food and I wouldn't be able to have so much. The consequences of it meant that there were lots of heart scans, lots of radioactive checks of blood vessels, and I think some of the doctors were just quite concerned at what the implications could be if it wasn't treated. And then later on, when the medications proved unsuccessful and the consultant at that stage wanted to pursue plasma exchange and other forms of dialysis-like treatment, which involved creating a fistula, that was then when the physical discomfort started. It wasn't pleasant. Having the needles inserted wasn't pleasant. Having to sit for a couple of hours wasn't too pleasant. But it became more of an inconvenience as I got older, so into teenage years, into my early 20s. It's something that we both worked on together, definitely, and because of how she was raised and the diet that she had at home, it's not been difficult to manage that at home. It's become a little bit more challenging now that our son started school, because he's seen school dinners and he's seen chips and he's seen fried foods and things like that. But certainly at home, we always try and follow a healthy diet. My advice, I think, to anyone newly diagnosed would be there's treatment options available, and touch wood would mean that they're able to live a normal life. My hopes for the future, for just me, but I guess it impacts my family too, is that I can stay healthy, I can stay physically healthy, that I have no complications, no issues with my heart or my arteries or anything like that. And that allows me then to be able to play, to be with my kids, to do all the things that they like to do and that we'd all like to do as a family. I hope my wife's family are in India. I hope we manage to visit them. I hope my kids grow up to be happy, to be healthy,